Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that I am in the second half of my deep dive year into the Lenormand system. The system that was originally created in Germany under the title, translated into English, The Game of Hope. But then when it was exported to France, they added the name of Madame Lenormand, a very famous cartomancer, diviner, spiritualist. And it sold like hotcakes, right? Became very popular. It is now sold all over the world under the name the Lenormand. Now I can't even say it anymore. The Lenormand. In fact, I can get Lenormand decks aplenty right here in South Korea. So, yeah, it's a very popular system, and I've found it very intriguing and expanding to spend this time working with the Lenormand, focusing on it, really trying to immerse myself in it. And eventually I'll probably try moving over into Kipper for a little bit, not as a deep dive, but I'll probably try it on my own and maybe bring a little bit of Kipper to your life, maybe a little bit of Sibylla, more Italianate version, so things like Sibylla and the Carta d'Este are not Lenormand, but we can read them in a Lenormand style. There's a Lenormand-esque flavor to them. They're systems of symbols and names that we would read similarly to Lenormand, if that makes sense. So I might whip out some d'Este, Carta d'Este, or maybe some Sibylla sometime in the fairly distant future, right? It's not going to happen anytime soon, but if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. Really, I'm a tarot boy. Yeah, I'm a tarot boy. And so, that being said, I really have grown, I think, as a reader using Lenormand in this focused way. And I hope you found it helpful as well. I really do. And I've got our spread already laid out for this week. But before I show you the spread, before we dive into it, I'd like to thank you for doing all of the things you do, for joining me on this journey especially, for hitting the thumbs up button, for subscribing. Those things you do help other people find us because of all of the YouTube algorithmic things that YouTube does. Those bits of engagement help us be more visible to other people, and they join our community, and our community grows, and we become a wonderful, loving place. Yes? So, thank you for doing that. And thank you for commenting below. Those of you who do comment below, I'm eternally grateful to you. I love hearing from you. So, thank you for all of those things. Now, friends, what we're about to do, I will show you the spread. I will tell you about the deck that we're using. We're only using one deck. And then we will look at the spread briefly once more, and we'll start reading the spread in very, very many different ways. Are you all ready for that, friends? Well, here we go. Here's this week's spread. I'm going to miss this deck. Yes, it's a beautiful deck. It's a creation by Robert M. Place, and there'll be a link in the description box below so you can go over to his shop and order this deck if you want it. I highly recommend it. It's a little big. It's big for me for using, for example, in a grand tableau, because the cards are on the large-ish size. They might not be quite as big as the Ciro Marchetti Lenormand deck, but they're a little bit large for me. But the art is beautiful. So for 3 card spreads, for 5, 7, even for maybe a 13 card spread, I think this would be a fabulous deck. 36 might be a little bit too much for me, size-wise. Yeah. It's called the ukiyo-e. Ukiyo-e Lenormand, and ukiyo-e is Japanese for the floating world, and it's an art style from Japan from a few centuries ago, and it's a beautiful art style, and Robert M. Place used that art style to create this lovely deck. immersing himself in Japanese culture to the extent that he was able to do it. I think he was very successful. And yes, you saw, just in case you are new here, we have what I call just a 9-card spread, but other people call it a box spread, a window frame spread. There are other names. For me, I just like using the number, a 9-card spread. And in fact, this is a kind of spread that you can extract from a full-on tableau, grand tableau, right? When we're reading a grand tableau, we can use the techniques that we use reading this 9-card spread in that context. Now we can use 3-card spread contexts. We can use this 9-card spread box format to read the grand tableau in chunks and in segments, right? So this is a good skill to have. Just saying. And the way that we read the 9-card spread is we will read the columns. The columns can tell us the motion from the past to the future. We can read the rows. Yeah, we'll read the rows as in the top row being what is on our minds, the central row being what is in our physical space, the lower row being what's beneath the surface. Yeah, we can read corners. We can read the diamond that's shaped around the central card. And we can read mirrors, we can read knighting. I don't know if we'll do all of that, but we'll do a lot of that. So friends, are you all ready? We're about to read this spread together. So I will show you the spread once more, yeah, because it's good to have a good mental image of the spread as we read this together. So here's the spread, and then we'll read it together. Here it is. Friends, what do you think about the general characteristics of this spread? Do you think it's more positive or negative? You know, I like to get a sense of the direction the spread is moving in first before I go into the details, right? So, if we look at the general characteristics, you saw that in the top-hand row from left to right, we had the garden, which is neutral, the house, which is neutral positive, and the child, which is also neutral positive. So, we've got a fairly positive row of cards on top. In the center, we start with the sun, which, as I learned it, is a super positive card. Now, it's triple positive. It's plus, plus, plus. And then we have the moon, which is positive neutral, and the scythe, which is negative. Yeah, that's the only negative card in this whole spread is the scythe. So with this super positive sun and the positive neutral moon, those far out, they tip the balance of that negative scythe way towards the positive, right? And then in the lower row of 3, we had the key, which is positive, the fish, which is positive neutral, and the ring card, which is positive. So we've got an overwhelming majority of positive cards with one little bitty negative card there, right? Everything else is positive, positive neutral, or that one super positive card. So we've got a very positive spread here. And the central card for this spread is the central card of the spread, right? It's the center, the moon card, which was at the center of the spread, and it's our significator. Now, there are a couple of ways of reading a 9-card spread, or of laying a 9-card spread, I should say. And the way that many people do it is they will choose a significator for the spread. For example, if the spread is about love, they might choose the heart card. If the spread is about moving house, they might choose the stork card, right? If the spread is about If the spread is about a child or something new, they might use the child card. And so what they would do is they'll shuffle the deck, and then they'll look for the child card or whatever their chosen significator is, and then they'll choose the first 4 cards before it and the 4 cards after it and lay the spread. I did not do that, right? What I did was I let the deck choose the significator card for us. And the question I ask every week is, how can we live our lives more intentionally in the coming week? And the primary answer, is the moon card. Beautiful card. You see this image of Guan Yin, which is more of a Chinese pronunciation. Yeah? Or in Korean, we call this figure Guan Se Bosal. So this is the beneficent Buddhist spirit who had the choice to move on to nirvana but decided to stay back to help humanity evolve and to bestow grace and blessings upon humanity, right? So the Bodhisattva is a being who is here to be at to help us. And even though there is a Bodhisattva on this card, we don't read the Bodhisattva, we don't read the fish that is under the Bodhisattva, even though there is a fish card right beneath the feet of the moon card, right? We don't read those things in Lenormand, like we might do in Tarot. We read the moon, just the moon, and only the moon. Now, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. Like they said in that, what was the FBI show? Was it just called FBI? Anyways, there was that old TV show, FBI, I think. And one of their catchphrases was, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts, right? So just the facts. What are the facts about the moon? The moon is a heavenly body, right? The moon is the secondary light in the sky. It reflects the light of the sun. It goes through phases. It goes through a 28-day cycle. So there's a sense of cycle with the moon. There's a sense of reflected light, which would be spirit or reflected intelligence. It also rises. Yes, there is the book, The Sun also rises, but the moon, we track its rising and falling in the sky, right? So the moon is things like, it also controls the tides, right? It gives us the tidal movement. It moves the waters. So we have the idea of waters, emotions, right? Intuition, dream life. It's the night light of the world. So dream light, dream life. But it's also recognition and reputation. It's the way I learned the moon, it can also be a heart business. So if you have a secondary heart business, which may or may not include some form of income, like for example, if you have an Etsy shop that earns you a little bit of extra money and you do it because you love it, that could be your heart business. For me, my heart business might be working with Tarot now, because I do have another job for money, but this is something I do for love of it and for learning and for growth. So my heart business would be this YouTube channel, it would be reading Tarot for other people, etc. Right? So if you have a heart business, it could be indicating that. Otherwise, it could be indicating our recognition, our success, our rising success, and being viewed as successful in a positive way by other people. Yeah? And the card that's modifying it, and I say especially by other people, because the card that's modifying that is the garden. Now, in this deck, we see a more Japanese-style garden, which is more of an artistic expression, right? Japanese gardens are more to be looked at than to be lived in many ways. And the iris here in the garden card is a traditionally popular flower for Japanese gardens. Think Japanese gardens of raked sand with little spots of greenery and maybe one stone lantern, right? It's not something that you're encouraged to go out and walk in and stroll through because you're going to mess it up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, but the garden card traditionally, remembering the time that the original deck was published, which is in the 1700s, Yeah, the garden was a place for people to gather, for people to socialize, for people to network, for social climbers to come and socially climb. Was a place for beauty, yes, for enjoying structured nature, right? Because gardens were not places where you would allow plants to grow as they wanted to. It wasn't a place where you would go out to feel the natural environment. This was a time when the garden was supposed to look structured. Human control of nature. Yeah? So, it's that idea of cultivating the structure of and a place for the interaction with people. So we've got the ideas of social communities. Yeah? But also business communities can be indicated here. Many people in public places and networking. Like I said, perhaps social climbing. And this could be a place or a time where we want to work with other people. Yeah? So, for our perhaps rising success, or perhaps for our heart business, we might want to network. We might want to work with other people. Yeah, working with other people could increase our success and our recognition, reputation. Networking might help with our heart business if we have it. Getting ourselves seen more publicly might help us right now. Just almost tossed these cards off into the stratosphere. But yeah, that's what I see. That's the first primary message of this spread, I believe. How can we live our lives more intentionally? We let ourselves be seen by the public. We let our abilities be known as we network with other people, as we interact with other people. Yes? Now, this central card we can read in a couple of different ways. Remember, we have that idea of our recognition, our reputation. We have the heart business. We also have intuition and emotion. We have dreams. So those elements can all be interlaced within this one spread. Just because I chose heart business or recognition and reputation as the central message doesn't mean emotion and intuition cannot also be at play as we read other card interactions. Does that make sense? I hope it does. We're going to first look at the movement of time. Yeah? So we're going to start off in the left-hand column. I think this should be the left for you. In the left-hand column, which started off with the garden, and then we had the sun and the key. So again, we start off with the beautiful garden card, which is networking, community, could be, again, a social community or a working community, and cultivating those relationships. That is a very, very sunny thing for us to do, because the card right below that is the sun, right? Which is what? The sun. It's the life-giving celestial body for this planet. It gives life to this planet. The heat, the light, all of that brings life to this planet and to us as individuals. So the sun is a card of happiness and success and growth. Yeah, it's warm light, it's beautiful. It's the beautiful things in life as well. And we see here, in the female figure is Amaterasu, which is the sun goddess. Interesting, right? In Western cultures, like Greeks, Rome, those are the ones I know best. Also Egypt, right? The sun was a god rather than a goddess, right? The goddesses are for the moon. The sun is generally placed with gods, either, for example, Apollo or Helios, right, for the Greeks. Ra for the Egyptians was the sun god. So it's interesting that we have a sun goddess for the Japanese. And actually, the sun goddess was the mother of the line of emperors for the Japanese. They believe that they, as opposed to all the other humans on the planet, are descendant from the sun. Yeah, they are the celestial beings in the planet, which is interesting. Now, I'm not saying that that's the modern day belief, but that was a traditional belief of the Japanese people, is that they are special among all humans because they are descended from the sun. Yes? So, that's not what we're going to read into this card, though. What we are going to read into this card is that we have, what? Happy, successful, growing, networking, and social interactions in the past. Yes? This is what we're coming out of. Our light and our joy and our happiness and our positive life has emerged from and is what colors our interactions with other people, especially not one-to-one, but in groups. Yes? And that brings us to the key. And this is a Japanese-style key, also very similar to a Korean-style key, just saying, yeah? And this key could have moved from Korea to Japan, just saying. But still, we've got a Japanese key here. A positive card. And keys, what do? They open things up. They also lock things down. Right? They lock things in. They help keep our stuff safe, and they lock our doors so that we feel like we are safe. But they also open things up so that we can get access to them. Those things, right? So the key card is a card of success and certainty. It's the answer card. It's the yes card. Your answer will follow this card. Yeah? It will be this way. It's like an exclamation point for some readers. So for some of us, things to the left of the card will be locked down, and to the right will be unlocked. Now everything in this spread is to the right of the key, so everything is unlocked here. I guess that's good, because that means we can have access to it. So this card is asking us to remember that we can have the confidence that we have what we need. So what is that saying? So, yes, our happiness, our joy, our feelings of success in community, that was the answer for us. Right? That is the positive yes. Good on us. Yes, that is where our success comes from. From the sunny garden. And then the next row of cards, which is the present, begins with the house. The house, a positive neutral card, because sometimes the house can be not so happy. What is a house? It's a place we live. It's a place where our family lives. It's the place where we feel safe. We feel when we feel tired. Hopefully we feel. If you don't feel safe in your house, we need to get you help. And I will help you as much as I can. I will point you into the direction of places where you can get help. But when we look at this card is the safe house, the place where we are safe, where we would go to feel safe. If from the maddening crowd, right? From the madding crowd. From the crazy people outside of our house, we go in to escape the stress of the outside world. And hopefully that is what your home is for you. It's your sanctuary. So that's what the home points towards. The home. our privacy, our safe place, our base ground, our stability is our house. It could also be the physical structure, right? If we're reading actually about your house, what's wrong with your house? Are you going to sell your house? Are you going to buy a house? This would be the card for that as well, real estate. But I don't think we're looking at real estate here. Successful endeavors are also possible with the house, which is great. There's a lot of success in this spread, right? The garden card moves into the sun. Success. The key, success. Here, successful endeavors. We also have a king here, which could mean a house husband, somebody who feels comfortable at home. Perhaps an older man, a father figure, a family man, somebody who is kind and gentle, generous, and takes care of people in a masculine, male kind of way. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that needs to be a person in a male body. It could be that kind of person in a female body as well, or a trans body, or a cis body, or an intersex body, or whatever. But it's that male characteristic of caring for other people in a male kind of way, in a house husband kind of way, right? The father figure kind of way. So if you've got somebody in your life, that's where the present is beginning. Or if you are that person, this really is a spread for you. But I think for most of us, the present is about where we feel at home, where we feel grounded, where we feel safe, where we feel stable, right? And that is what? What kind of place is that? That is where we feel emotionally stable, where we feel emotionally grounded. This is where our intuition can become active, right? And perhaps our emotional stability is also what helps us to increase in reputation and in recognition with other people, because we are feeling more emotionally stable, more emotionally grounded in the present moment. Hopefully that is how you're feeling. Heart business. Maybe your heart business is happening at your home. Your actual living space is where you do your heart business. That could be pointing at that too. But that brings us to what? The fish. The fish are what? Remembering the time of the creation of this deck, the fish are out in the sea, right? You want to get fish, particularly at this time. You go where you know the fish are, you drop your net in, you haul your net up, instant cash money almost, yeah? You don't have to plant anything and wait 9 months for it to grow and then harvest it and then get it out to market. You drop your net in, you pick it up, and you go to market. Right? Yeah, so fish, they also swim through water. So there's that idea too. We've got that idea of the soul or emotions. So what I'm seeing now, and I'm going to be moving back towards emotions for the moon. Right now in the present, we have the potential to feel emotionally stable and grounded in our safe space, right? That's emphasized by a sense of stability that comes from the soul, that comes from the deep unconscious. And maybe intuition is guiding us now because we are here feeling more stable, more grounded. We have more access to unconscious information in the present moment. Does that make sense for you? I hope it does. Because if it does, then I think we're moving into something very interesting in the near future. In the near future, we start off with the child card, a positive neutral card. And here we don't just see a child, we see a mother and a child, right? And the child here on this card is Kintaro. Kintaro is the golden boy. Yeah, it's a traditional story, an orphaned child with great strength who becomes a very powerful adult. And you can see the axe being carried by this little golden child, this golden boy, right? Kintaro. But right now, this golden boy is not the powerful adult. It's a very strong but baby. And what is a child? It's a young thing. It's a new thing that will grow. But right now it's small. And it's new. Into our lives especially. So this is the card of new beginnings. Small things that develop and grow. It could be a real child, and it could be more negatively childish behavior, but also naive innocence too, right? Naive innocence can be a very positive thing, especially living an intentional life. We want to be open to our naivete, to our naive, innocent, joyful state of openness to experience. That's one of the best ways to live an intentional life. So we're moving into this new space. Something new may appear in our lives. Or we may feel new. We may feel that childish openness to what is to come, which would be wonderful. Or, like I said, something new may appear. Something new which will grow can appear. And then we have the problematic card of this week's spread, which is the scythe. Yeah, scythes. They're used to cut things off. They're sharp. They're pointy. But they're also tools. They're tools used to harvest, to cut grass. Right? So if you are the plant, the scythe is not a happy thing to come towards you, right? But if you are the farmer, the scythe is a very useful tool. So, what does that mean for us? So, this card could be pointing in two different directions. One direction is the negative. So there's a cutting off of something new in the future. There's a cutting off of our innocence and our naivete and our childlike openness to life. Possible. Or it could be a harvesting of that. Yeah? The new thing may be harvested by us. It could be sorted and gathered. Yes? And I want to lean into that sorting and gathering, the harvesting of something new, or the harvesting that we can accomplish in the state of our childlike innocence. Because the next card is the ring card, which is a positive card. Yeah? So maybe this something new, the small thing which has the potential to develop, we harvest that and we results in a ring, which is what? It's a promise. You put a ring on it when you get married, right? You give rings to your husband or wife or partner as a symbol of commitment. We give rings to family members as commitment to the family. I am a member of this house. Yes? So the rings are relationships. They're long agreements. They're stability. They're cyclical things as well, right? There's no beginning and no end to a ring, right? There's a circle. It could be the wheel of life. So I think what we're seeing here is this new thing which can appear, and maybe it's it could be our childlike innocence, but I think this new thing which appears in the future, we harvest that in, and that leads to some kind of a long-term agreement, because this childlike thing, this new thing, is developing, it's growing. And harvested, we get a long agreement from that, with that. One of stability. And maybe it's relational. Maybe it's with another person. A partner, maybe. And when I'm saying partner, I don't mean necessarily a romantic love interest partner, but a working partner. That we do this work together, maybe. Does that make sense? Can you imagine something like that coming to you in the near future? If you can, this is wonderful. Now, friends, we're going to be looking at the rows to see if there's support or there are other layers to this information that we were just looking at. So, first we'll look at what's going on in our heads. What are we thinking about? What are we seeing? What's on our minds? And we start off again with the garden, right? The garden and the house. So, that's an interesting combination, right? The garden is our outside, the house is our inside. So, our social community, we want to feel, and our networking, we want to feel grounded and stable in our networking with other people. That's what is on our mind, or can be on our minds soon, in the near future. And that brings the new thing. So, if we give our attention to being grounded and at home in our social community, whether it's social or work, and networking with other people, if we can feel grounded in that space, we will be able to receive this new thing. Maybe, and feel open and ready to accept that new thing, which will grow. Yes? And then, what do we have here in our everyday today lives? Yes, we very, very, very good cards here, except it ends with a sad thing. Okay, what am I going to say? So we start off with the sun. Yeah, in our physical world right now, we've got happiness, we've got success, we've got growth. Perhaps in our heart business, or in our reputation and our recognition. Yeah, there's a recognitional growth and happiness that is happening here for us. Yes? And that could be either what allows us to gather more, or some of that might be cut off. In our physical realm, we might notice that some of our happiness and growth in our recognition and reputation might be cut off. We're not saying that it's a complete fall from grace. It's not like the Tower card in Tarot where everything crumbles and is destroyed, right? But we might notice a cutting off of some of our growth in our environment. But I think we need to be okay with that. But again, it could also be a harvesting. So, I'm not saying one way or the other. We need to be aware and attentive. If we start feeling things being cut off, it's okay. Otherwise, if we feel like we're harvesting, that's great. Yes? And what's going on below the surface is very positive, right? We start off with the answer key, the success key. And the answer, it will be this way, is in our success, our money, our resources. Yes? The answer is we are going to be resourceful. We're going to have money. We're going to experience abundance, whatever that means for us. Yeah? For example, if finding a $1 bill on the street makes you feel abundant and successful, that could be this. For other people, finding a $1 bill on the street is inconsequential and doesn't mean much, right? And it doesn't mean that the one who feels the boon of finding a $1 bill is better than or worse than the one who does not feel that. So whatever it is for each one of us in our contexts, we're going to feel, yes, a success, certainty in our financial resources, our money, our abundance, right? And the god on here is Ebisu, which is a lucky god of fishermen, of merchants, and money. So, again, we don't read Ebisu, we read the fish. And the fish is abundance, it is money, it is our flow of economy. And that is the answer. And the answer of that leads to the ring, which is what? It's stability, it's partnership, and long-term agreements. So, what's going on under the surface is a very positive flow of, yes, resources, abundance, promises, and long-term agreements with other people. So this is all coming from the center of, I believe, either our heart business, or it's coming from our rise of recognition and reputation in our communities. And it could be both. Does that make sense? So friends, we're going to look at the spread once more. Let me show you the spread once more, because that will help us get the shape and the image of it in our heads again, so that we can look at the corners and the diamonds and read the cards in a couple of different ways. Are you all ready? So friends, here is that spread once more. Friends, we're going to be looking at whether additional information will either confirm or deny, will support or confuse the information that we just got reading this 9-card spread, both in rows and columns. Yeah, so we're going to start looking at the corners. Yes, and the first pair of corners we're going to look at, moving through this moon card, is the pair of the garden and the ring. Yes? So again, the garden is our social community, it's our networking, it's people gathering together to work together or to socially interact. But it's this community which is the source of our long-term agreements, our stability and relationships. So it really does seem like this spread is pointing to us and our community and our agreements with and our relationship with that community as being very important for this spread. And then the next pair of cards that we have here are the key and the child. So this is telling us that this new beginning is the answer for us, right? This small thing, or our open, childlike naivete, is the answer for us right now. And that's wonderful, because that's the direction we're moving in, right? We're moving into this, from this present moment, into this space of something new and maybe our childlike innocence, and maybe that's what it's saying here, that we want to maintain or to rediscover our childlike innocence, to be able to get this new stuff, to be able to be open to the new thing, right? Because we're not looking at something new which is going to overwhelm us, but something new which is small but will grow. Does that make sense? And so being open to receiving it is, I think, going to be key. That might even be we might be moving towards the title of the video as well. But yeah, being open to receiving this new thing, this new child. Now, if you're pregnant, hey, it could be that. But I don't think we're most generally talking about pregnancy here. We're talking about being open to receiving the birth of something new in our lives. Yeah, so that was the corners. We're looking at the diamonds now, right? So the diamonds. The first pair of diamonds is the sun and the house, which is really telling us that the sun shines on the house, yes? Yeah? Our homes, our... even though our interactions with other people, our networking are really important here, but so is the happiness and stability, the warmth that we feel in our base ground, in our home space. And that our feelings of happiness, success, and growth can come from feeling grounded and at home. Whether we're at home in our homes, our houses, our apartments, or at home in our social communities. And that's also possible. Even if you're an introvert, you can find a feeling of groundedness and at-homedness in whatever size community you call your own. And again, that community is very important for us in this coming week. And that leads us to these two cards, the scythe and the fish. Which in this spread, I see that there is an abundance of stuff that can be harvested right now for us. Yeah? We can gather in abundance if we're ready and open for it. We read the cards in the sense of the scythe. The sharp end is what cuts things off and is painful. The blunt end, which is down here, is what is like a kick in the shin. Yeah, it makes you active. We activate. Something we must do now. It's a demanding side. So we are demanding. Our abundance is being demanded. Yeah, our abundance is being kicked in the shin and say, "Hey, wake up! Wake up! Get going! Get going on your abundance. Get going on your money resources." Yeah. Now, so this scythe card is the one that seems the most problematic in this spread, right? So we want to notice that the scythe and the sun card are mirrors. Now, mirror. So if you looked at this spread, there's that vertical line through the center, and the left and the right sides of the cards of the spread mirror each other, right? So the scythe and the sun mirror each other, so they color each other, right? And the sun is shining its light on the scythe as well as the house and the fish. So the sun, happiness and success, I think shifts that scythe card towards the harvesting side of the scythe. And if we look at knighting for the scythe, we go, again, knighting means the cards, well, if you think of chess, the knight will either do one of two things. It will go up 1 and over 2, or up 1 and over 2, right? Down 1 over, right? That way. Or up 2 and over 1. Up 2 and over 1. That's how a knight in chess moves. So when we knight one of the cards, we either move 1 in one direction and 2 the other direction, or we go 2 in one direction and then 1 over, right? Now, because of the placement of the scythe card, we can only go up 1. So we have to go over 2. So the 2 cards that are knighted to the scythe card are the garden and the key. Right? The garden and the key are knighted to the scythe card. What does that mean? That means that what we are harvesting is success in our social community. Yeah? What we're gathering, I think, is success in our social community. I don't think we're cutting off here. I don't think we're cutting off community. I don't think we're cutting off that, because even though it could be, yes, cut off your community and that is the answer. I don't think that's what we're seeing here. I think the harvest is within this strong acknowledgement of the powerful nature of our social networks, whatever they be. And social could be pleasurable social, like the people we go hang out with after work, or it could be the networking, our social networking in the context of our work. Yes? Does that make sense? So, that is key for us coming up, especially in the near future, the next week. Yes? Is there anything else you would like to see knighted or mirrored? If there is, let me know in the comments below, and maybe I can come back and see what information I can see around that. But that's what I see here. I see that in our space of recognition, in our social interactions, we want to be open to the new thing that can grow. And while we are emotionally grounded, we are emotionally stable, there's a great importance here to that childlike innocence and naivete. Which could lead to new agreements or new relationships, or relationships around our work and around our heart business, if you have one. And like I said, that childlike naivete, that childlike innocence is so beneficial when living an intentional life. Why is that true? Why is childlike innocence and naivete beneficial to living an intentional life? It's because that sense of being open is an indication of also being open to the power of intention flowing through our lives and moving us forward. If we remember, living an intentional life and having the most access to the power of intention is a life of being open and willing and enjoying our evolution as eternal beings, having this human experience, recognizing whatever our age, Whether we are 5 years old, we're 50 years old, we're 105 years old, or 500 years old, it has no significance what the number of our years on this planet are. We want to move through our lives and through time-space with the openness of a child. Never thinking that we know it all. I've learned all that there is to learn. I know all that there is to know. But the more we can inhabit that space of wonder and awe, the better. And I was just talking to a friend of mine recently about awe and wonder and amazement and how we use those words so poorly these days. We say, oh, amazing, oh, wonderful, oh, it's awesome. Yeah, the meaning of those words has been, in my estimation, corrupted. We use them to just mean, oh, really, really good, awesome, wonderful, amazing, right? It's really, really good. And we forget the original intent of these words. Awesome, full of awe, something that elicits awe, which isn't, yeah, really, really good. It's awe, amazement, amazing, something that just cracks us open to the immensity and the beauty and the wonder of what is going on that is wonderful. It's full of wonder. Not wonderful, but full of wonder. I don't know, have you ever, and I asked my friend, have you ever been to some place that elicits those emotions? For example, you might have felt that during a meteor shower, where all of these lights are just coming down from the sky, and it's amazing. It fills you with wonder. Or have you seen the aurora borealis in person? Or have you been to some large, expansive space like, I don't know, like Antarctica? Or have you seen, what is that waterfall? Not Angel Falls. Is it Angel Falls? There's a waterfall in Brazil that is just immense, right? Have you been to the top of a very, very high mountain and seen the sun break through the clouds from that top and just been awestruck and felt how awesome that actually is? We felt, now, for adults, most of us right now would need to go to something that dramatic and awe-inspiring to feel those emotions. Whereas a child might feel that emotion seeing an ant crawling across the sidewalk. Not crawling, but moving across the sidewalk. They might feel awestruck. That is awesome. It's wonderful. It fills them with wonder. And the more we can inhabit that space of wonder and awe and amazement at life, like an innocent child, a naive child, the more open we are to the miracles that exist every moment of every day. And by extension, the more access we have to the power of intention. And the more intentionally we can live. Does that make sense? If it does, let me know in the comments below. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? Now there's this bright light in this spread, reflected back to us through the moon, in this spread. leading to abundance and commitment, and yes, the key. And that child. So I see a very positive week, at least, ahead for us, and maybe further in the future, if we are allowing ourselves to be open to it. Yes? So, friends, in just a moment, I'm going to give you my QR code and the web address for my online tarot shop. If you want to order a reading from me, go ahead and use those things. Scan the QR code or type in my web address, derekjohnthomas.com, and you will hop over to my shop and you can order a reading from me for yourself, for a friend, anybody. Yes? And thank you. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.